Good day, YouTubers. It's Mark here. Going to do a restoration video. My second one. My first one was on the Denon DP1200. I did that about a year ago now. This one is it's an old Hitachi turntable, probably from the early to mid 70s. It's a Hitachi PS33, completely manual turntable. No automatic functions in the turn arm whatsoever. I've had it in the house for quite a long time now. It was actually belonged to my my wife's brother-in-law, and it got passed to my wife's mother, and she was doing some cleaning out in her house, and she passed this on to me. I really wasn't planning on doing anything with it. Actually, it was kind of just sitting downstairs, but today I got kind of the urge to see if I can get this thing up to par again. Main issues with the turntable, and I've already started the restoration. I wasn't really thinking about doing a video when I decided to do this, but I got started on it. I thought, you know what, it might make a cool video. So I've taken the whole thing apart, and as you can see here, this is the part I've already started on. It's the base of the unit, and one of the issues that this table had was a water damage. I don't know what happened to it, but the base got some water damage, and the actual bottom, bring this up a little bit closer so we can see it. The actual bottom had got a lot more. You can see all the black on there, kind of mold or whatever, and the board is actually in bad shape. You can see right here. Look at, you can break that right off. It's all soft, and it's kind of bloated in spots. It still fits the bottom, but it's really kind of ugly looking. So what I'm planning to do with that is I found this down in my basement, because I had an old audio rack I just assembled, and I got a nice piece of particle board here. Probably used to put the black side on the inside, but now this facing out, and I'll make a new base, cut out a new base for it. So all I really have to do is cut the base out, and then drill the holes. There's some holes up here and along the sides, so that I can refasten it to the table. Also remove the feet and put the feet on the new bottom. So that's one thing that needs to be done. The base actually had, let's see here, tilt this down. Yeah, the base actually had quite a bit of water. You can see water, where water damage caused like these lines going this way in the grain. And so what I did was I took some fine sandpaper and just gave it a very light sanding. After that, I applied 2 coats of satin finish varnish, urethane, and it's really made a huge difference. The finish was looking awfully worn and beat up, and the added coats of the urethane have really brought the finish alive again. I wouldn't say it looks like new, but it definitely looks a lot better than what it did. There's a few small chips in the veneer here, which I'm not concerned about, because the actual turntable part, this piece here, covers that up. It comes to about here, so you won't even notice or see the chips in the base once it's reassembled. The other issue, mechanically the turntable is very sound. No real issues there, but the last time it was used, it would play very, very slow. And it's a belt drive turntable, and right off the bat I can think of about 3 things that might cause that turntable to run slow. So I'm going to try to use the tools that I have, and the main tool that I use for fixing this issue is I use rubbing alcohol, and I'll also use, although WD-40 is not the best thing to use, it's basically what I use for these turntable cleanups. It's if it was a higher end turntable, I might use something better, but the WD-40 seems to do the trick, and you need that too to get the speed back up and running. And I'll kind of talk about that. I guess I'll talk about that first, and show you what I do to fix the speed issue. Okay, the first thing that might cause your platter to spin slow and not on speed, is a belt that is getting stretched out or is too old, it needs to be replaced. In this particular case, this belt, you can see when I let go of it, it hugs the inner surface of the platter quite well. So it's my opinion that this belt is still okay. Probably, you know, in the fairly soon should be replaced. Like, not sure how old the belt is, if it's as old as the turntable, which would make it very old. Something tells me though that it's not that old, because some of these older belts, they just kind of glue themselves to that rim and they dissolve. Rubber doesn't really stand the test of time. So I'm under the belief that this is not the original belt, but it's been replaced. But for this demonstration, I'm going to assume that this belt is okay. The next thing you want to check, let's take the belt right off for a second too. Next thing you want to do is, what could cause your turntable to move slowly is that the belt is slipping. And slippage can be caused by any grease or residue that's on this inner rim of the platter. And so what you want to do is you want to take some rubbing alcohol, get a couple of Q-tip swabs, and you really want to, or even a soft cloth, doesn't have to be Q-tip swabs, that's, a cloth will work just as well, and clean that surface really, really well with the rubbing alcohol, taking care not to get your own skin oils on that rim surface. You want it as clean as possible, because you want that belt to grip, you don't want it to slip in any way. The other area where slippage can and will occur is on the motor spindle, which is right here. And you can see that this particular motor spindle has two, there we go. It's got two steps, one here and one down there. The bottom one's a little bit thicker. And what those steps are for, one step is for 33 RPM, which would be the top one, the smaller one. And the thicker step on the bottom of that spindle will be for your 45. And you have your control here, 45 and 33. And that little gizmo there, what it does is it lifts the belt from one step to the other. So 33 raises it up to the top step, and 45 lowers it down. Something else that can happen is that the belt, when it's on the spindle, isn't centered in that step correctly. It might be towards the bottom or towards the top, and that can cause your platter to spin a little slower as well. So there is a little adjustment screw on this one, on this piece right here. There we go. And by loosening that, you can pull this plastic piece up or down just ever so slightly to adjust how it's going to have the belt sit on that. And you want the belt sitting on there as close to the middle of the step as possible. So, but the other thing, the most important thing too, is that this spindle is 100% clean, no grease or residue. And what happens sometimes over time, just from sitting, it does get coated with whatever that's in the air, and it can cause slippage on your belt, and then your platter not to spin at the proper speed. So again, rubbing alcohol, Q-tip, clean that area really, really, really well. Make sure that there's absolutely no grease or residue on there. The other thing you can do to help or to check anyway, to see whether it's causing your platter to spin slow, is to check the bearing in the center here. Does this turn freely? Okay, it should turn very, very free. You shouldn't have to apply hardly any force on it with your fingers to have it to turn. If it's very stiff, you might have a bearing that's starting to seize up. And so what you need to do is to lubricate it. And again, WD-40 is what I normally use. And what I'll do, where I'll lubricate it is, okay, right down on the bottom. You can hear that noise. Well, you want to get right underneath that brass piece if you can, and give it a shot of that stuff underneath there. The other place you want to check it is underneath the platter. Okay, so where are we here? There we go. So right in there, you can see how those two pieces separate. You want to pull that bearing up, pull the spindle up like that, and then put a shot of that WD-40 or some kind of lubricant, light machine oil, or sorry, like sewing machine oil, very, very light oil into there and kind of work it in, turn it around. And hopefully that should help loosen the bearings up. Now in this particular case, didn't seem to be an issue with this. That seems to be nice and loose as it should be. So I'm not going to have to worry about that. Something else I just wanted to point out about this turntable too is that there's really no plastic. It's really a heavy, solid made turntable. This whole chassis looks like it's stamped out of one piece die-cast aluminum, so it's quite heavy. And the wood base, of course, it's wood. It's wood. There's no, it's like plywood. It looks like there's no real particle board in there. It's a nice solid wood base with a nice veneer finish over top. The real only plastic in the whole unit is the dust cover and probably the switches here. So you can see it's very well made. They just don't construct stuff like this anymore, that's for sure. So anyway, that's what I want to do to check for the speed. And the other thing I want to do, the last thing I want to do is what I did in my last video was take the dust cover. The dust cover is actually in pretty fair shape considering its age. You can see there is some, I don't know if the camera's picking it up or not, some scuffs and light scratches. Nothing serious, so no heavy scratches. The hinges are intact. Everything is in good shape that way. So what I'm going to do with the dust cover, just to spruce it up, is use my Novus vinyl scratch remover. And we're first going to apply Novus 3, which will remove, it's just very kind of abrasive when you rub it in, but it does kind of work the scratches out to a degree. And then after we've applied that and wiped it off, we apply number 2, which is the polish, and it gives the plastic a very high gloss finish. So now that I got this is varnished, I'm still waiting for it to dry. It's not quite dry yet. I'm going to cut out the base and attach the feet, and then I'm going to reassemble this again, double checking the components for belt slippage and that sort of thing. Here's a handy tool too, by the way, that if you ever wanted to check the speed, if you don't have a strobe on your turntable and you want to check it, okay, this actually is a piece of paper that I've cut out from a regular computer paper sheet. Actually, I cut out 2 of them and stuck them back to back. And if you go to the website vinylengine.com, I'm not sure if you have to sign up. If you do have to sign up, it's free. But if you go to their tools menu, they actually have this where you can print it off. So I found this to be a very valuable tool, especially for restoring old turntables that don't have strobes. And as you know, with the strobe, in North America, we are 60 hertz, our electrical. In Japan, places like that, it's 40. So you want to make sure you download the copy for the 60 hertz, and it's got both 33 and 45 RPM on there. So as you know, with the strobe, if the lines appear to be not moving, then you're on speed. If the lines appear to be moving counterclockwise, you are slow, and if they're moving clockwise, your speed's just a little bit too fast. So in this particular case, the lines on this will be moving counterclockwise, because the issue with this turntable is that it's running slow. But this is a great tool if you ever want to check, and it's free. Just download it, cut it out, and if you want to check the speed of your turntable, excellent way to do it. So I'm going to get to work here and get that base cut out, and we'll go from there. Okay, as you can see, I've managed to cut a piece out, the same size as this, and I've already fastened the feet from the old piece onto this one. Also too, what you want to do is place this one directly on top. Make sure it's directly on top, and then you want to take your drill and make sure your drill bit fits through these holes easily, or else you're risking the bottom piece not fastening snugly to the bottom of the base, or to the base. So as you can see, I did that, and now I have my drill holes, 8 of them all together, And so now that should easily fit to the bottom of the base. I know the black, it was a black shelving unit, so that'll be on the inside and that'll be on the outside. So a much improved bottom to this piece here, which really, you can see it's just sawdust now. So that'll improve the look and the quality of the turntable to some degree as well. So okay, that part is done. The next part I'm going to do is the polishing of the dust covers. Okay, like I said, this dust cover is not in horrible shape. I've never been a fan of the smoke colored dust covers. I much prefer the clear ones, but it is what it is. And I'm going to apply the Novus polishes to it to get it to come up nice and shiny, or shinier, and it'll also hide many of those minor scratches and scuffs that are in the plastic as well. So we'll start with that next. Okay, the first polish we're going to use on the lid is the heavy duty scratch remover, number 3. And to apply it, there we go. I'm going to get it towards the tip though. You just want to squeeze some on there. Maybe do a section at a time. I normally do like half the cover at a time, or half the top at a time. And just apply it like that. Now you want to use a very soft cloth. This is abrasive, fairly abrasive, and it looks kind of ugly once you've applied it. And basically, to apply it, what you have to do is you have to apply firm pressure, like as much pressure as you can. You don't want to break the plastic though, obviously, so just to show you. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take this to the floor and work on it down there, because I can get a better, apply better pressure to it. But I just wanted to show you how this stuff goes on. And I'm going to really, really scrub it. Now back and forth motions only, don't swirl it around, just strictly back and forth. And I'll show you the next step after we get this done here. Okay, now you can see what we have left here is a dust cover with a very ugly white hazy finish to it right now. And so what you want to do next, now I want to point out that first step there with number 3, the more time you want to spend on it, like if your cover is in bad shape, the more time you spend on it and the more applications you give number 3, and again applying firm pressure, the better the results are going to be. But for the purpose of this video, and plus again, this is not really something like, it's a nice turntable, but it's not something that I would really give a lot of time to. I just wanted to show you a quick restoration, and but the more time you spend with it, the better the results on number 3 polish. So you can see it's got the polish is drying on it. What you want to do is take a clean part of a cloth or another clean cloth and remove all the polish that's on there. Okay, so once you've got the polish removed, as much as you can. Now you can do the inside if you want to, but in most cases with dust covers, most of the wear and abuse is on the other side. So I'm not going to do the inside of this one. It doesn't look too bad, but you know, you may have a dust cover that is scratched on the inside too, so you might want to apply a polish to the inside. But for this video, I'm just going to do the outside. Okay, so once you're comfortable that you've got most of that stuff off, you want to go to your next polish, which is number 2. And this is the one that'll give you your high gloss finish. And there is a number 1 too, but number 1 isn't really for restoring. It's more of a protectant. It's just basically a almost like a Windex consistency. kind of like just a regular plastic polish or plastic spray cleaner kind of thing. So I don't really use number 1. Number 2 is the one that really does it for me. So just shake it up a little bit. And slightly different color. It's kind of like a brownish gray color. Different consistency too. Not near as much in the way of abrasives. So again, with this one goes on differently. You can swirl this one around. And again, I'm going to move it down to the floor here where I can get a better handle on it. And then I'll show you how it looks when we remove the polish in the next step. Okay, now the Novus number 2 polish has had a chance to dry. And it is kind of important that when the number 2 needs to dry completely, it's like a car wax almost, the way it goes on and the way it comes off. The number 3, the first one we applied, doesn't necessarily need to be dry. Just once you've decided you've rubbed it enough with the solution, just wipe it off. So it doesn't have to be dry. This stuff, number 2, you should let it dry thoroughly before you start to buff. And you can buy the Novus kit that comes with these reusable buffing cloths as well, and they're very soft, very thin, but they work great for getting the shine back on the dust cover. So all we do is we take that and we can go into a swirling motion, or any kind of motion you want, side to side, swirling, whatever. And this stuff kind of caked on there, and it kind of comes off in little crumbs, more or less. And shake some of that stuff out once it gets to be too clogged up in there. Now you can apply this number 2 as many times as you want too, just like the number 3. And I would say if you apply it 2 or 3 times, you'll get better results as far as shine and hiding scratches. So I'm going to finish buffing it, and then we'll get back to the video. Okay, the cover is the dust cover is now finished, at least for the purpose of this video. You can see it's a nice, got a nice sheen to it now. It's, it looks much better than it did previous. But like I said before, the more time you want to spend on it, the better the results are going to be. You can actually buff this thing until it looks brand new again. It's not quite to that state right now. It does look better than it did, but it could still use some work. Again, many applications of number 3 and number 2 will create a dust cover that does look brand new. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to reassemble, or I'm going to reassemble the turntable off camera, and then we'll take another look at the turntable, reassembled and restored, and we'll hook it up and see if my speed issue is corrected. I did perform all the steps that I mentioned earlier in the video with the rubbing alcohol and the WD-40. So once we get it together and hooked up, we'll give it the final test. Alright, so here it is, the Hitachi PS33, somewhat cosmetically restored. It looks much better than it did. I'm not a professional by any means, but I have the knack, I guess, to fix things up a little bit, make things look a little bit better. And as far as the speed issue of this goes, I used my little strobe here, and you know, I did all the cleaning like I had mentioned earlier with the pulleys at the top of the motor and the underside of the rim, and even the belt. The belt, you should really take that, put it to a little bit of rubbing alcohol, clean the belt in a solution of that, and then let it sit to dry. And any grease residue that may have gotten stuck to the belt will be removed as well. So you don't want any kind of grease or oily residue on those moving parts. So in the end here, as far as the speed goes, it was really much slower than what it's supposed to be until I did the cleaning. Now it's not bang on, it's really, really close, so it's still traveling just a little bit slow. But then again, because of the way this is constructed, there is no way you can't adjust it once once everything's cleaned and everything, you can't adjust the voltage on the motor to increase or decrease the speed. So there is no way to actually fine-tune this even on a brand new state. So and many turntables out there are like that, but it is very, very, very close to being bang on. It's traveling just a tiny bit slow, because the lines, like I say, are moving kind of in a counterclockwise direction when you're watching the strobe, but very, very slow, very, very slowly. So the speed deviation is not very bad. It's actually probably not even audible to most people who are listening to it. So overall, it came out pretty good. I've mounted a I'll get a close-up shot of this here if I can. Here we go. Okay, get a little bit closer. There we go. I don't know if that's showing up or not. It looks a little bit blurry. Anyway, what I put in there is a Denon DL110, which is a spare cartridge of mine. I've had it for quite a long time. Still got lots of life left on it. It's a moving coil cartridge, but it's high output, so you don't need any step-up transformers or head amps or anything like that. It works fine with your moving magnet input. But fantastic cartridge. If anybody out there is interested in getting into moving coil, that's a great place to start. It is just a great cartridge for the money. It's about $150 online on eBay. I saw one just the other day for $150. They are going up in price, so I think I paid $130 for that a year or so ago. So the value of those seems to be increasing. But great cartridge. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to give this a little bit of a test drive and just see how it does sound. And I'm going to put on a record, and this one goes out to LJ. So there you have it. That concludes my video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was actually a lot of fun doing that today. I really wasn't planning on doing it. It just came to mind. I saw it downstairs. I thought, you know what, today'd be a great day to work on it. Wasn't intending on making a video of it, but I'm kind of glad I did. Please leave comments. I love comments on my Fix-It videos. It's just great to hear what everybody else has to think. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you soon.